It's late. I'm grubby. I need a shower. But I just had to come on here and rant a little bit about traveling. I've been talking about a lot about Costa Rica and traveling to and from Costa Rica and all that. Well, we're in COVID. And this is the first time in 15 months I've left the country. And it's the absolute first time I got to see what traveling during a pandemic was like. It had its challenges. That's all I'm going to say. Delta was great on the way out. They dropped the ball today. I learned they're not exactly perfect on how they treat their disabled customers. Since about 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I started having this horrible numbness in my left side, and I started falling down a lot to the point where they called me drunk in Tamarindo. Somebody said I was a drunk because I was stumbling around. I started having to use this stupid little stick to get around with to keep from falling down. The main thing with me is I can't feel the ground under my feet, under my foot, my left foot, so I fall down. Um, this was going to make travel very difficult, I thought. So what I did was instead of just going on there and saying, "Hey, I have severe peanut allergies," I went in there and said, "Hey, I've got severe peanut allergies and I need a wheelchair." Going from Costa Rica back to America, hey, Pippi, was smooth. There was a wheelchair available in each and every, not in too much pain from traveling. It's just the weirdness of travel. I'm getting ready. Anyway, on my way, plenty of wheelchairs. They brought me here and there. It was the smoothest traveling day I've ever had in my life. Even with worrying about having the proper paperwork to go in the U.S., the negative COVID test and all that. Smooth as silk. Today, not quite so much. I got to the airport and there was no wheelchair available for me. Well, first of all, I got to back up. When you fly internationally, they tell you to be there 3 hours in advance. Delta says this. They said it in their paperwork they sent me. We got there 3 hours in advance of our 6 a.m. flight. They didn't open up and start registering people to fly until 5 a.m. So we were there 2 hours just farting around with other people who had also been told to be there 3 hours in advance. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad of a start of a day. But then we get to the wheelchair. I get up to the front, and the guy, I said, I'm booked for a wheelchair. He said, well, there aren't any available right now. You can either walk to your gate or you can wait for a wheelchair. Well, I decided to walk to the gate, which was a huge mistake. I almost didn't make it. It took me forever. I finally got there. Um, and it is what it is. I mean, they're really not the best all the time on disabilities. I discovered that when I broke my foot, I had a wheelchair. So that went okay. It wasn't great. At first, a little bit wasn't great because I had to walk and I walked like a drunk, but I did it. When I got to Atlanta, the wheelchair was not waiting for me. I was told that I should go up the gangway by the attendants and see if I could get the gate agent to get me a wheelchair. Big problem. It's a long walk from the gate. Again, I walk like a drunk person. I'm all over the place like this because I have zero balance now. So I did that, and they caught up with me about halfway up the gangway. The guy showed up with a wheelchair finally. Okay, not great. Not great, but still pretty acceptable. Here's the other thing about the trip and being a disability. Pippi, I would have hung out with you, except I didn't have it but this long in Atlanta. Um, and I do fly in and out of Atlanta. That's where they make us change planes all the time. And sometimes we have long layovers, sometimes no layover at all. This was a no layover at all. Here's where Delta gets interesting. I always fly with a peanut allergy. I have a severe peanut allergy. I don't eat peanuts. I don't eat anything with peanut products in it. You can tell, my husband can tell you that if he eats peanut butter, I'm in the same room, I will start wheezing. It'll make my asthma go crazy. So Delta is the only airline that still serves peanuts. So if you fly with Delta and you have a peanut allergy, you have to, I will let you know next time. You have to be intentional and say, hey, I have a peanut allergy. They do have a place for that when you buy your tickets. And I always go in there and tell them that. Here's where it gets strange. And this is what flying with disability, with multiple disabilities, is like. I'm sitting there minding my own business on one of my flights today, and the stewardess came up and said, well, the flight attendant came up and said, "You're the passenger with the peanut allergy, yes?" And I said, "Yes, that would be me," because they usually do verify that. And usually will ask me, "Well, are almonds okay, or cashews, whatever?" So yeah, it's just peanuts. It's not tree nuts. It's just peanuts. It's the one I have the problem with, the legumes. So she comes back and throws me a snack pack and says, the little biscuit in there says, "You can't have this. It has peanuts in it." I said, "I'm on a peanut free flight. Why are you giving me a snack with the peanuts in it and you're telling me I can't eat it as you're handing it to me?" That makes zero sense whatsoever. So I sat there and I started looking at the little thing because it was something I had on one of the other flights. Sure enough, there were no peanuts in it. There is soy in it. So the flight attendant obviously thinks that soy and peanuts are the same thing. So, Delta, you've got to step this up. You've got to get your people better trained about disabilities, because having to walk, even though I can walk and I walk like a drunk person, through these airports is just too much. It's just too much. When people order their wheelchairs, they really need to be there, and your staff needs to be more better trained about what a peanut allergy is and is not. Aaron, I can understand that. I don't know what it is like for everybody else, but for me, I've never had a problem except with the peanuts, and I've been careful to let them know. So this is like really the first time I've had to fly with a wheelchair, which it was interesting to see how good or bad they were with it. Like I said, on the way down, they were wonderful. It was the smoothest flights I've ever had. I will say this: when you fly disabled like that and you're in a wheelchair and you're flying internationally, you're in and out of the lines in a hurry. They take you right through customs. You're swept through instead of waiting in line with everybody else, and that's kind of pleasant. But I also wanted to talk about with Costa Rica, they have new things in place. You have to have, let me see if I can show it to you, if I can find it on my phone. You have to fill out a form for the Costa Rican government before you come here called a Pass de Salud. It's a health pass, is what it is. And after you have filled it out, they'll give you a QR code. Now, since I have a trashy old iPhone, I don't have a QR reader, and we were in a hotel that had the world's shittiest internet. I was not able to download a QR reader. I had to take an actual picture of the QR code in order to be let back in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is also requiring you to have insurance that covers, I think it's $2,000 worth of hotel rooms just in case you get sick. Covers your, and it's silly for me because I have health insurance here that would cover that, and I have a house, so it's not like I would have to rent a hotel room, but that's the way they want it right now. So that Pase de Salud, you have to upload your policy. Oh yeah, Julian, that is a problem. It is a problem with the wheelchairs. And adding in the negative COVID test we had to bring along. This past day salute, we had to go this way. They have all kinds of new restrictions in place as far as coming here. And you had to fill out this thing swearing up and down you didn't have a fever or a cough. Well, I'm an asthmatic. I cough every single day. So I had to pretty much lie and say, no, I'm not coughing. Um, it's just really, really frustrating to have to do all this crap. And having to do it from wheelchair just was a little bit harder, except for the fact that we did get pushed on through quickly. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, so it was a strange trip. This is the first time I've traveled since COVID beyond going to up to Arnold for a few days. The other observation is a lot of things are still closed. A lot of restaurants are closed. A lot of restaurants in the New Orleans area were takeout only. The hotel we were in was a really luxury place I'd stayed at 4 years ago. It's not so luxury now. They're having some issues with getting up and running post COVID. They were closed down for quite some time. So I think we're going to see these little bugs going on while travel is going on. Yeah, truffles. I did not want to fly. Costa Rica decided they would make everybody who was a gringo get out. And that's why we left. We left to meet our visa requirements. That was it. I had no desire to travel at all during any of this. We stayed in the hotel room most of our time we were there. Like I said, the hotel is they're experiencing some problems getting back up to speed as well. So it wasn't the most pleasant or relaxing stay when you have to beg for, but thank God I know Spanish now because I had to beg for my towels in Spanish because the cleaning staff there spoke Spanish. Yeah, yeah. So it's not a voluntary travel thing. And while I'm having while this hotel has the world's worst internet, the whole Katie Joy salty reply came in, and I'm sitting there reading this, dying to go online and rant about the salt of salty. I mean, that was one crazy declaration that he dropped. Well, answer that he dropped. I thought he made some very good points. He pointed out what Mr. Brown had done. He pointed out at what point he actually started talking to Lorianne, that his declaration with Lorianne is the only signed one. I know why they're fighting so hard to keep this declaration in because the declaration speaks to jurisdiction. And I think that's the thing everybody has forgotten about with the whole Katie Joy thing. The jurisdiction matters. So that's why everybody's fighting so hard over the Lorianne Barnhart declarations because they speak to jurisdiction. Personally, I'm looking for Judge Barber to smack them all and rule on jurisdiction. Most of the time, jurisdiction will go with the plaintiff unless the defense makes a good reason why not. I think that's what's going to happen. Whoo, you see, I got a lot of stuff behind me on the bed. I need to go unpack. As you see, I'm all greasy and stuff tonight. I bought so many things, it was ridiculous. I've been oh yeah, it took her 3 hours to go through. You were right. Hey, Krabby. It took 3 hours for Emily to go through that. I know because I watched that as it was cutting in and out here on the internet there. 3 hours. That is a lot of documents going on. And this week on the 11th, supposedly there's another response that's going to come due. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to read it. I have a feeling we're going to get quite a bit of laughs right up until the point where Judge Barbara Rothstein spanks everybody again. I think that's what's going to happen. I think she's going to probably rule on jurisdiction very quickly. And yeah, it took me a long time just to read through and figure out what I thought about the paperwork as well. So, yeah. And going back to the airplane thing and flying, I know some of you have said you would not fly. I'm going to say this about Delta. I may be griping about them not showing up with a wheelchair, but they take it seriously. They had us every other seat. They did not squash us together. There was a lot of social distancing. They were handing out wipes every few seconds to wipe your hands with, Perel wipes. I got so much hand sanitizer. My bag is full right now. There's no way I could use it all. And yeah, I think they took it really seriously. At least they seemed to make an effort to do so. So I'm hoping that I didn't contract it. Oh, your brother is a pilot with Delta Police Wife? That is awesome. That's one of the few airlines I'll fly out of here. It's Delta right now. Only Delta or Alaska Air or United is flying out of Costa Rica. Used to be we had a ton of well, flying out of Liberia where I fly out of. Used to be we had a ton of airlines. A year ago, a year and a month ago, my daughter came to see me here right before all this went down, and we had so many flights coming to Liberia that day. They were holding flights on the runway because they didn't have the gate. They've got like 6 gates there. They didn't have gates to put all the planes that were coming in. Now it's a ghost town. It's like I said, you fly Delta, you fly United, you fly Alaska Air, or you fly one of the Canadian ones. But you're not seeing the American or Northwest or any of the other ones that used to come in. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, automatic upgrade. Oh, I would have liked to have had one of those. That would be lucky, Aaron, getting an automatic upgrade. I know they tried it when they figure out disabled. They've always tried to move me closer to the front. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Today, I sit in the back of the plane, which was fine. I was just as fine, sitting right by the restroom, a couple seats in front of it. I was fine with that. I mostly slept on this flight. I don't know what sleeping is going to be like tonight because We got to the airport at 3 a.m. We got on the plane and flew out around 6 to 7:30. I slept on the plane. We changed planes. I slept again most of the way to Liberia. I woke up and looked down out of the plane and could see all the little islands off of um, the coast of, I guess, Nicaragua. Some little islands out there. And that's about the time I woke up. And then we got back here and I took another nap. And now I'm unpacked. I've lost some things, a couple of nightgowns. I lost a nightgown and a few other things. I don't know where they are. I've got so much dirty clothes to do. I just unpacked my huge haul of stuff that we bought when we were in the States. Blue Eyes, I am not sure that I buy that it's a control thing. One of the things that I did after COVID started was I went back and I'd read several books on pandemics that they'd put together and about possible coming pandemics. I'm concerned right now because when I was in New Orleans, we were at Lafayette Park and we saw a bunch of dead ducks. Ducks were dying left and right. And somebody local said, "Oh, yeah, it's some kind of avian flu coming through here that's killing all these ducks." That is what I'm afraid the next one will be. I mean, we've been overdue for a huge pandemic for a long time, considering the last one was in 1918. And it was a flu epidemic that wasn't really very different than what we have now. If you look at the H1N1 and um, the COVID and the other things they've had, they're really not very different. They're just all variations on the same thing. Did you truffle? I think it was very fascinating, particularly they're still digging people up and taking samples and finding the flu, finding, still finding the flu in people. They're finding the, and trying to track it and figure out how to best shut this down. I mean, to me, science is a fascinating thing that I've done a lot of reading about. I was not able to get vaccinated when I was in New Orleans. I tried to. Got the news that one of the Baptist churches was vaccinating people, and they had the Johnson and Johnson variant, which is what I needed. And I got there. I couldn't get there in time, and they said they were not likely to vaccinate me since I no longer was a Louisiana resident. Blue Eyes, I don't buy any of that. I'm sorry, I don't buy that type of conspiracy theory. I stand for science. I believe in the Bible. Well, parts of the Bible. I follow Jesus, the Old Testament, and all that. That's more of a historical document. But I don't buy that. I believe in science. I believe in loving everybody. I believe in feeding everybody and making sure everybody has health care. If that makes me a raving socialist, so be it. Yeah, Aaron. I'm only getting the shot, the Johnson and Johnson. I'm getting the one that's recommended by my critical care pulmonologist. I'm not getting the Moderna. I am not getting the Pfizer because there are some concerns. They are biologics. There's nothing wrong with biologics. I was on a biologic drug for over 8 years, and it was the best thing ever. It helped with my asthma so severely. It helped my severe asthma so much. And then one day it just stopped working at the 8 year mark. And I understand that's uncommon. Most people only got relief for 2 to 5 years. I'm grateful for that. I used to sign up for I've been on the drug trials for several of the asthma medications that are in common use now. When I lived up in DC, I routinely did that because the kind of asthma and the mast cell activation syndrome I have does not respond well to too much of anything. Right now, my doctor here in Costa Rica is getting me the drugs that I need because they're not commonly used in Costa Rica either. She's going way out of her way to do that, and I'm just incredibly grateful. Now, if I can just get to my neurologist and have another MRI and see if they can figure out why I'm falling down like a fool, I have no balance, and all of that. Well, Truffle, I think you can believe in the words of Jesus and love other people. I don't think you can believe in the Old Testament and Paul and some of the other guys and love people. It's just impossible, I think. I think that science and medicine is awesome. I went to a church that was years ago that did not believe in medicine. And I was struggling with this at the very beginning of it. They believed only in positive thinking and prayer, especially for depression. And that can be a real disaster. I've never really had very many bouts of depression. I've always been kind of happy go lucky. Um, but I know enough people that do. My husband had a horrible many year bout of depression. Turned out he had a tumor. He had a parathyroid gland tumor. And once they removed the tumor, he was perfectly fine. But our old church said no, 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 no medicine, no intervention, no drugs, no nothing. Prayer only. And they accused him of having not enough faith. It's the reason why he was depressed, that he didn't trust Jesus enough. That is the biggest bunch of bunk there ever is. He had cancer. He had a cancerous tumor on his parathyroid gland in his neck. And it took the surgery. It took the surgery. Yeah, the Johnson and Johnson one is more recommended for people with asthma and the like. And it has to do with some of the side effects. My daughter and I have been sitting back, my youngest, waiting to see what's happening because some people who've gotten the Pfizer one have gotten ITP, which is something she had when she was 4. Truffles, you got to do what you got to do. I do go to church. I go to church here. It's turned into a giant cluster, you know what? And split. There's been a split. There's been crazy going on. It's given me something else to write about. Exactly. Science, medicine, and all of that is what I stand for. Particularly after my experiences in the church with faith healing and some of the people that would say you should never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever do science or medicine. We were told not to go to the doctor. I didn't have that option with the kind of asthma I've had my entire life. Not going to the doctor wasn't even something that was in my lexicon. I went anyway. The Rona is very real. Yeah, a lot of people here have had it. A lot of people on the list here obviously have had it. Not too many people have had it here in Tamarindo. We've been kind of spared by it, but I think it's because a lot of us are outside frequently. You got the sea breeze blowing. I don't think that the virus stands a chance much outside. It certainly does not get spread. My husband and I, we stay inside, we stay home, we stay in our little thing. We go pick up our groceries. That's about it. And I think that we're going to see this continue for a while longer. I hate to say it. I mean, it's good they're vaccinating everybody, but at the same time, it's going to take masking and being careful for the next, I don't know how many more months to get this under control. And hopefully, we will see it start to lessen, even the different varieties. I'm curious, in my family, the only ones that really had it is I had an uncle that had it. An uncle, his wife, my aunt, they had it. They got it from their son in law. The son in law had it. Their daughter had it. Their other daughter and son in law got it from them. All the children involved got it, and the other grandparents. And of the bunch that had it, one of the grandparents died. One of the people that had it has to have a heart transplant, and someone else in the family has to have a lung transplant. And that's not even counting all the people that are having long-term effects from this. This is serious. This is serious enough where we need to take every precaution we can not to have it. That's why I was so livid about being forced out with my visa by Costa Rica because I really did not want to expose myself to it. Truffle, I agree. People are. I've seen this too. Since this has happened, I had family members that I did not see because they popcorn lung. Oh, that's pretty terrible. I am so sorry. I had family members that have had what I call COVID derangement syndrome that will never leave their house. They're young and healthy, but they won't leave their house, not even to have like a 6 foot apart meeting with a family member. I mean, I experienced that down in New Orleans. I saw my oldest daughter who has had the vaccination. I saw a another family member that had the vaccination, and that was it. We stayed in. Popcorn lung is pretty bad. It's pretty awful. Anything that makes it hard to breathe is no bueno in my book. Okay, I've been rambling and ranting a little too long here. I'm going to go to bed here. I'm going to try to. I've slept all day, so I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight. But I've got a mountain of laundry to do tomorrow. I have got so many things I absolutely must take care of. Um, yeah, like I didn't realize this when the pet sitter told me that one of the cats had barfed. She didn't tell me she left it on the floor. So when I came in, I had to clean the floor. Cats. It does make it very hard to breathe. I hope you recover from that police wipe. Um, it's no fun at all. None of that is. Everybody stay well, stay safe. As Karen Ironwell says, wash your hands, wear your mask. I certainly wore mine. I wore mine so long, I've got like blisters now in the back of my ears. I don't know how those people that do the jobs that have to do it, to have to wear the mask every day, do it. It does rub on the back of your ears. Okay, y'all have a good evening, and I'll see you guys later.